Now, what I did care for, and I think this will be the last thing we talk about, is the Natalya and Lacey Evans match. Like, how awesome was this? And, WWE gets criticism for this deal with Saudi Arabia, and still, rightfully so. I'm not advocating that. If WWE knew ahead of time, even if they knew they would never have a women's match in Saudi Arabia, you bet your ass they would still take that deal. You bet your ass they would still take that money. They would take that money come hell or high water. So, they still get criticism for that, and that is fair. It is fair to have that criticism. I think it's warranted. But it can't be understated how important this match was. And there were plenty of women in attendance in this Saudi Arabian crowd. There was plenty. I think that this match taking place in that venue, in that country, gives hope to the future of said country. Now, I'm not saying that things are going to change there. I don't know. I don't know how things work there. But it gives hope to the women in attendance there that there could be something greater at some point, because if the Saudi Arabian government allowed this match to happen, then maybe they will continue to become more open to equality. And I think that's, I don't think, I know that that's very important. And the fact that WWE was able to make this match happen, I think they do deserve at least some credit for that. And as for Natalya and Lacey Evans, I couldn't feel better for those two, because for one, I'm happy that they both were able to travel there and be in the ring and performing in front of that crowd, and to be greeted with the reception that they were. And I know that there was a thing about someone, I guess, threw a bottle at Natalya during her entrance, but that's one bad egg in this situation. But the overwhelming response from this crowd was very positive, and I think that's great. And I'm glad that Natalya and Lacey were able to do this. They came in and they left healthy and safe. I'm thankful for that, for those two, and I couldn't feel better for them to be able to do this, and you could tell what it meant to both of them. You cannot wipe the smile off of Natalya's face if you tried. Like, she just was glowing from being able to do this, and that's fantastic. That's really great, and I think it's a legacy-defining moment for Natalya. And, Lacey Evans, too, like, I don't want to act like Lacey Evans wasn't important in this, because, they both were. But for Natalya, who came in to WWE during the Divas era, not the Attitude era anymore, but still the Divas era, where it wasn't focused around wrestling. And, her, Beth Phoenix, Mickie James, a few others could wrestle, but they were never given the chance to. And for her to stick with this company all throughout that, and into the Women's Revolution, where it became more centric on wrestling. You got the Four Horsewomen. You got WWE putting a more focus on the women's division, starting with NXT. Emma and Paige also deserve a lot of credit in that. Triple H deserves a lot of credit in that for giving them the stage to be able to show what they can do. And then WWE, they adapted. They allowed their women to feel like stars. And, Charlotte, in particular, and all of the Four Horsewomen, Like, we can complain about Charlotte being overpushed, and I complain that the women's division doesn't have enough depth, and it just feels like it's those 4 women are the only ones that feel important. But the fact of the matter is that they've made women on this show feel like stars, which is something that hasn't been done in any recent time in WWE. And the Attitude Era, there was no woman that was a star. In, like, I don't know if that's fair to say, because, Trish and Lita, they have a great legacy and they have a great body of work to them, but they were never treated as stars. Charlotte and Becky Lynch are treated like stars. Bayley and Sasha are on the fringe of that. So, for Natalya to go through all of that and all of the change in WWE, when that started happening, Natalya was always, the one on the outside of it. And we all know Natalya is a fine wrestler, but I think because she was in the middle of the Divas era, that when we transitioned into the women's evolution, she was kind of forgotten about because the focus was more on establishing the newer stars. But Natalya was still there. She was still capable. And for her to work her ass off for all of that, through all of that, and now to have this moment where, breaking barriers or whatever you want to say, or whatever WWE rhetoric might be, is awesome. It's really great for both Natalya and Lacey Evans, for the women in Saudi Arabia, and it's just a very good thing overall. So, yeah, there you go. I gushed about that for like 10 minutes. I'm sorry, but I thought this was awesome. And it's funny that a couple weeks ago I was clawing my eyes out of the 5th Natalya versus Lacey Evans match that I could not care any less about. And now they did this, and I'm all in on it. The match was fine, just to actually talk about what happened. They had a fine match. The crowd was very receptive. There was "This is awesome" chants. And really, that's the big thing. Like, it didn't matter how the match went. It didn't matter who won. It didn't matter if the match was long. It didn't matter if the match was short. It didn't matter if there were botched moves or anything. All that mattered was that it happened. And I'm not saying that any of those things even happened in this match. I'm just saying it didn't matter if it did, because the match already delivered just by it taking place. And so Natalya is going to end up winning this match with a sharpshooter. Her and Lacey, they hug afterwards. Lacey Evans crying very real tears by the seams of it. And yeah, just awesome stuff. Great for both of them. I'm happy that they got to experience that.